Hey everybody, it's Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we are talking with producer, musician, all-around wonderful artist, Yash. How are you doing today?
Hey Tom, how are you doing, man? Nice to see you.
It's a nice day here today. It was raining all yesterday, so
Oh, it's like super hot in Toronto, man. Like it's crazy, crazy. We're sweating balls here, everybody.
we have the moment's hotness. It'll be humid and horrible for about an hour after it rains, and everyone hates it.
Yeah, yeah. The humidity. It's crazy.
So for those who are new to you as an artist or a producer, you want to give kind of a little background of yourself and your music?
Yeah. Well, I was born in the Middle East in Israel, and I moved to Canada like 12 years ago. I went to music school in Berkeley, called like for jazz, orchestration, stuff like that. And I've made beats my whole life since I was a little kid. And then when I moved here with the plan to like, produce, make beats, be a producer for people and, get cuts, the whole nine yards. And I started, doing a lot of sessions, learning a lot about songwriting and just, developing my skills. And yeah, and I got to work with a lot of really, really cool artists, a lot of dance music, a lot of dance music. And I had a few really good records that did very well and got acclaim. And like we got nominated for a Juno and stuff. And it was very fun. And just, honing my skills through this whole time. And I was kind of like, I always kind of wanted to do my own project.
Mm-hmm.
I was building it on the side, and then the opportunity arose like this year to to start something. And I kind of jumped into it, and that's kind of where I am right now.
Mm-hmm. So was your family musical, or was this more something that you took on?
No, none of my family is musical. They're all Russian engineers, bro. Like
Okay.
they're all like super duper like math and science people. And I was supposed to go be a doctor like my mom and stuff, but no, yeah, I just one day, like there was a literally an incident that made it happen. I went to this I don't know what it was. It was like a summer camp or like a weekly summer camp, whatever, when I was like 9. And I saw a woman play like this woman, this old lady, like play on an organ. It's the first time I saw anybody play like live in front of me like that. And I was just like, I remember it like really vividly. I was just like struck. I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I came home. I was like, I want to learn piano. And ever since, I was like, just that's it. That's what I was doing. That's what
Nice.
I enjoyed doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inspiration hits sometimes pretty crazy.
Yeah. When it happens at a young age, it's more impactful. Like, cause you
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything else. You don't know anything. It's
Yeah.
just like whatever you see is like the best thing you've ever seen. So it kind of gets stuck, you know.
Yeah, for me that was arts. Like I drew all the time, and there was a point where I was directing myself towards the road of going to work with Disney.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
yeah, at 12 years old, I was doing this program to try to get in there. Like I was all about the arts at that time. So it holds a little bit more when it hits younger.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And it was kind of like that's it for kind of like a lifelong thing that never went away.
Mm-hmm.
And you find solace in it. You find like yourself in it. You develop. It's very cool. It develops your craft develops with your character. It's very interesting when that happens as well. So
Mm-hmm. Did
yeah.
you have specific kind of inspirations when you were into music and kind of coming up that you looked at a
Like
lot?
yeah, my parents listened only to the jazz music and kind of Sinatra type of stuff all the time. And my dad loved Queen. Like we had all these like albums of Queen records all everywhere. So that was, I guess, my first inspirations from that. And growing up in the Middle East, there's a lot of Middle Eastern music everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
like I grew up in Jerusalem. That's like one of the most multicultural cities, I guess, in the world. It's like a lot of religions and like different people from different backgrounds and a lot of like people from all around the Arabic countries of the Middle East. So they all have very different languages and very different music and different kind of instruments. So all these sounds, all this like Middle Eastern stuff was also amalgamate, you know, kind of like put into this vessel, I guess, you know.
I mean, it definitely had a lot of stuff to pull from, so that makes for a more eclectic sound, I guess, too.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, what you hear when you're young, you just get used to. Even though like when I moved to North America, I mean, it was more the North American music that kind of dumbed down that side, but I still like, you know, feel it, understand it. Even here in Toronto, when I go to shows of like ethnic music and stuff like that, I really enjoy it, even though it's not in my language or whatever. Like I enjoy it because it sounds like stuff that I grew up on. And oh, when you want to make hip hop beats, it's really useful. When you want to make like trap beats, it's super useful because like all the harmonic minor keys and all that, like I'm really good at that.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, I guess moving to North America would give you get thrown into a whole different type of scene for music right there.
Oh yeah. I had to also level up with my skills. The competition is like way more. There's more people here, and this is like, you know, where the music industry is. So that first, and then obviously you get a feeling of, you know, it's a completely different musical taste here, industry. Like it's like the, you know, the sound of the world. So you got to keep up, and without even wanting to, it just, you know, it just comes. You want to succeed, you want to do well, so you're like, you know, and plus you're producing for other people. Like it was different for me. I wasn't coming to be an artist, so I was producing for other people at first a lot. So it was like I had to, you know, guide myself towards their sound and learn. That's how I learned how to do a bunch of different genres and stuff like that.
And you've worked with some pretty big names at this point. Like Steve Aoki was on your list of one of the.
I had one track with Steve Aoki and one track with Tiesto that did like with a feature with Snoop Dogg, and there were a few there. There were a few opportunities, very good opportunities that I got throughout this time. I'm very fortunate in kind of like my path here. It was pretty good.
How was it working with those guys? I've heard they're pretty down to earth and really just good to work with.
Yeah, everybody's very nice. Like everybody in, you know, is just a person. I also didn't really, I never had this like starstruck thing about me. Like I didn't never, you know, like I realized very young that everybody's just a person. So
Yeah.
but yeah, but they're just cool guys, man. Like very cool guys, very down to earth and chill, and willing to experiment and work.
Nice.
Super cool.
So what is your work ethic, your process like when you're coming up with tracks and music and producing?
Yeah, it depends on, like, if I'm producing for somebody else, like I'll definitely, you know, I'll listen to all their stuff and especially their vocals. Like that's really important for me, like to listen to the person's vocal tone and kind of like where they naturally go with their thing. So it really guides the sounds and the genre. Obviously, like if I'm producing for somebody else, I'll produce in their genre. But if I'm producing for myself, to be like fully honest with you, I'm actually trying on purpose not to have any structure, because you know, the work of production, to be a producer and produce for other people, is a very structured thing. It's like, in a way, like it's necessary to be limited when you do that, because that's your job. You're not like doing whatever you want, like that's your actual job. But it is limiting a little bit in the creativity, because you can't just like do whatever you want, right? So here in this opportunity, I was like, well, I think the best way for me to like, you know, kind of like express myself for real is to just not have any, you know, just start with anything. If I'm starting with chords, if I'm starting with like just recording like a voice note on the phone and then transferring it to Ableton and starting to mess around with it, like anything. Like I actually deliberately try to start from a different point every time. You know, there's not a lot of places to start, you know, like all producers will tell you the same thing. It's like, either start with the drums, or you start with it. If you're doing dance, probably start with the bass line, you know, like kind of like those general things. But I really like to have a melodic like edge to everything I do, because
Mhm.
that's just what, where I came from. I also play piano. It's very difficult to make stuff that's not melodic and harmonic when you produce on piano. And so yeah, to answer your question, it's like a non structure. My
Okay.
structure is a non-structure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not as linear as some. So that no, that
Well,
makes
yeah,
sense.
it's not as linear as I would do otherwise, It's like on
Mhm.
purpose, not linear.
Nice. Now, actually, you just made me think of something. Playing the piano. I've heard that once you can play the piano, you can play anything. Is that kind of true?
Yeah, I play a lot of things except for the piano. But yeah, it's like I would recommend to anybody, any producer, first of all, like that touches a like a DAW, like Ableton, Cubase, whatever they use, like they have to know basics of piano. Like if they want to know any instrument, like it should be piano, because the way the piano is structured, it's very visual. It's not like guitar, it's very visual and intuitive. You can see all the keys and the scales right in front of you all the time. And once you get good at it and you do it for a long time, you can just imagine all those scales in your head, and then it's easy to transition to any instrument really good.
My
Because
dog
piano,
just decided to walk in
oh,
and
that's
say,
good.
yeah.
I was saying like the piano is a percussion instrument and a melodic instrument. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things you can do.
No, and that's one thing. I used to play drums in high school and stuff like that, but I never kept it up. And I'd love to have been more musically inclined, but I just didn't have the mentality for it, I guess, to do that.
Well, so yeah, I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult, and you have to really just be like very invested in it, like naturally. I don't know, like people that I know, I almost actually don't know anybody that I grew up with that I played music with that actually ended up being a musician. I think I'm the only one. That's which is weird, because I have many friends that played jazz and get like that played seriously, not just like in the school band, like seriously.
Mhm.
But I'm actually the only one who made like a living out of it and decided to make a living out of it, because there's like a level of like not craziness, but just a level of like dedication that you need to love it so much that
Yeah.
because it's like the worst way to make money. It's the worst career. Like if you're thinking about like I want to make money, I want to have a good career. This is like last place on the list, like literally the last place, the worst than anything in terms of but if you love it and it's like just you can't do anything else, then that's what you should do. That's like the only people that should do this is people that can't do anything else. They just think about it all day. That's like they want to make beats, they want to make songs, and that's it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lifestyle for sure once you get into being a musician.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Now, are you a guy who likes to have like a solid single, or do you want to have an album that tells a story? Because I know right now the industry is very kind of divided on releasing singles versus releasing albums, the way social media and everything is.
Yeah, I think people end up really releasing stuff like singles a lot. Even if they make an album, they kind of tend to release like the 3-4 of the bigger songs in the whole compilation. But I do believe in compilation. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to like have a whole body of work with a
Mhm.
lot of different, just a lot of like sounds and kind of a whole story. It's appealing. It's more difficult than focusing on. It's really more difficult than focusing on singles, because you can make singles kind of different. They're like different worlds. But here you have to. There's another layer to it that you have to kind of keep in mind, that you're making like a whole body of work. So you have to structure it. There's a way you work on it, and it's cooler. I think it's really cool. So my idea is definitely I'm gonna put out a whole album at the end of probably October, but like everybody else, the singles are gonna come out slowly by slowly anyway. So
Mhm. And your next single, Unicorn, I guess is,
yeah,
I heard it today actually. I got to listen to it. Sounds pretty fun. I like that.
it's a fun song, very fun.
And you got Dragonette on there. How was working with Dragonette?
Oh, it was very fun. I've known her for a pretty long time, and we write together on a, like on a pretty regular basis, like for pitches, like like a writing session. We would write songs. Oh, let's try, let's write a song and try to pitch it to Netflix or this or that. Sometimes we do that. It's just part of it. And this time we were in a session and we were writing with a very good writer called Jensen Vaughn.
I've actually heard that name.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's a very good friend of mine. He came by and we wrote the song and we were very excited by it. And I was really hoping it won't like get picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of didn't try my hardest to pitch it. I really liked it. And here we got to actually do it. Like, I spoke to Dragonette and I got her to like, be on it with me, and we really love it. It's a really, really fun song. And, we wrote it fairly quickly in one session. We didn't really go back on it at all.
Yeah, it definitely has a good energy to it. I was kind of just grooving to it when I was coming up with talking points and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. It's a fun song. It's kind of different from my other songs, but since it's a collab, it's good.
Mm-hmm. So how did you deal with COVID and working through COVID and everything?
I don't know, like it sucked in the way that you couldn't, like, I like going to writing camps a lot. Like kind of events where you, for a few days, you kind of close yourself in a studio with other people, and then you write, you get a lot done. So that was like gone. So that sucked a lot. Besides that, like, close friends, stuff like that, you could still do sessions, Zoom sessions, like it was a little bit, it disturbed a lot of like the flow of how it's supposed to go,
Mm-hmm.
But there's just different good things come out of that though. You make more beats, and you make more beats, and because you're not in like sessions with people all the time. When you're in a session with people, you don't really, like, you make the beat in the session, but you do a lot after. But here on a Zoom session, you can just mute and just work on your stuff while other people are writing, and then it makes kind of things go a little bit faster. So that was a plus. But yeah, in general, it wasn't amazing. I don't think it was it was very good for established artists, especially.
Yeah, it definitely hurt the industry a little bit, but I know a lot of people jumped into the idea of social media and doing live shows and things like that to try to differentiate themselves a little bit more.
And I guess people got more on their game of like social media in general, right? Because they had to. So that's really important. That's how I came up with this whole like avatar thing. Like that's why, because it's like everybody was, this thing of 3D, AR, all this thing was coming back. And I remembered how much I loved, gorillas back in the day. And I was like, you know what? This is like the perfect time to do something like this. And that's kind of how this whole idea came about.
And I heard through the grapevine that you're going to have a music video coming out for the track.
Yeah. There's going to be a music video coming out for Unicorn.
Okay.
It's coming out. Well, it should come out July 1st. Maybe a bit sooner. So it's like a little bit after the release of the song, which is June 24th. Yeah, it's really cool. It's kind of the thing about the video, we did like combination of live action, so live footage with 3D animated footage. Kind of like mixed it together. We did a really fun story, and Dragonette's in it, and my character's in it, and they're interacting. It's really dope in that sense.
Yeah, looking forward to see it. I think this will be out after that stuff is out, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking out the video for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
So with the lockdowns and everything kind of ending, how do you think the music scene is starting to look up over in Toronto now?
In Toronto, I saw a lot of there's a lot of shows going on. A lot of people are booking again. I see like a lot, and there's parties going on. So yeah, things are definitely, starting to climb. People are less scared, but still people are, I feel like, are going out less out in general. But it actually feels better, much better than it was.
Yeah, and festival season's kind of coming into full swing now, and there's going to
Yeah,
be a
and
million shows out.
yeah, there's like a bunch of shows, everybody's going, so we're back in business, I guess.
Do you have anything kind of planned for live shows?
No, for now, no. Until like the middle of next year, this is only like development of this like character, and that's what I'm working on. It's really I took up like a big journey, a big job on myself to do it, because it involves technology and a lot of, if you want to do it right, like it involves a lot of aspects that you need to work on all the time, and you need to develop. And so, yeah.
Are you going to try and go as far as do like the whole hologram thing, or?
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
like the idea is to do the show as the character, and like this is probably the last time like I'm doing an interview with me, right? Like the only reason it's not the character doing the interview is because we didn't catch up with the technology quite yet, but we're almost there. In the next month, it's like not gonna be me speaking on these Zoom interviews anymore, and yeah, and in the live shows, there's a lot of possibilities. Like we're working with a company in Toronto to make it happen, to
Okay.
get some ideas, see what we can afford, what's a really crazy thing to do, and what's a simpler thing to do, and where we can like put ourselves in between in terms of the shows. But I'm going to have a lot of online and virtual sessions, Twitch channel, etc. That this like the character is going to be like, I wouldn't even call him a character. It's basically me. Like it's gonna be me on this like doing stories and reels and whatnot. I don't know, and production tutorials and just producing and blah blah blah, all of
No,
that.
I think that'll be fun for sure. And it, like
Yeah.
you said, with the gorillas, it's definitely a gorillas vibe, and I've always loved the gorillas for that. So
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about that aspect. This aspect of the technology is really cool, and I just think I don't know, it really strikes me right, like this whole vibe and where we're at in the world, and where this whole virtual reality stuff is at, the NFTs, all this. It's kind of feels like a really good time to do it. So
yeah, 100%. I would completely agree with you there.
mhm.
So I have a couple fun questions I ask everybody, and it gives a little bit more insight to who you are as an artist and a person, and
Sure.
make you think a little bit more. So first one on my list is, what is something that's on your go-to playlist that people wouldn't expect you listen to?
What is something on my go-to playlist that people won't expect me to listen to? A lot of country music.
Okay.
Yeah, like country music and classical music. Like, okay, classical music would probably be something even more like Bach. Like, I just have tons of classical playlists. Also, because this makes me feel calm, but also because I think it's a very beautiful form of music that, you know.
I've actually got a whole set of classical piano stuff that I listen to just to kind of mellow out and have a good mood and energy.
Yeah, no, it also like it makes you think. It's music that works your brain, invokes feeling. It's and the people that wrote that music are like the top of what the human brain can do in terms of that, musicality, because they didn't have computers or nothing.
Next level for sure.
Yeah, Bach was a computer. Like his brain, like that guy was like a computer. Like how can you write like that? And like twice a week, 3 times a week, that guy used to write like whole mass, like for every Sunday mass, he wrote like 3 pieces, and then in the middle of the week he wrote, and without computers, without anything, like just remember, like he just remembered the whole orchestration for choirs for like 20-30 people. Nuts. That's nuts.
And just like picturing in your head how it's going to sound with each note, because you can't hear things. And yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, you can't play it back. You can't do shit. You can only like write on it. You can write it down and kind of like, kind of imagine it and play it on piano, I guess. But it's really crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that I love classical music too. So I feel you there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, another question I have is, this one always makes people think a little bit extra. So what's one thing that should be asked in interviews that's not asked enough?
One thing that should be asked in interviews.
Like one thing that you think should be asked a little bit more that isn't asked enough. Not necessarily about you, just in general, kind of.
Oh, I know. I'm just thinking. I just because interviews usually ask a lot of things, a lot of really. I don't know, man. Food, like nobody really asks like where do you like to eat, what restaurants, what like food you like to eat. I guess.
Yeah, I guess that works.
It's irrelevant that much, but I don't know. Yeah, that would be my answer.
Well, we used to, when we were starting out with the interview process, we were looking for questions, and it was during COVID. So we were actually doing like having everyone shout out their favorite restaurants locally so people can kind of still order food from and things like that we could to support.
Yeah.
I mean, so what's your favorite local restaurant? We'll support them a little bit right now.
What's my favorite local restaurant?
Like if you have to order one thing, you're like, yes, it's going to be this.
Oh, it's like Burrito Boys. I just like burrito. I know it's weird, but I just like very simple stuff. I cook at home and I like, burritos. I really like Mexican food a lot and Indian food, but Burrito Boys is my go-to. It's right next to my studio. It's what I order like twice, 3 times a week.
No, honestly, my wife and she loves burritos, and her go-to thing has been Indian recently. So we've been supporting a lot of the local Indian places.
Nice. Good.
So kind of my last question for you is a bit of a two-parter. What is one piece of advice that you were given when you were coming up in music that you held on to tightly?
What is when I came up?
Like as you were coming up in music, it's a piece of advice someone might have given you.
When I started like having a little bit of success or some stuff started to happen, somebody that was already successful told me that that there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and I should run a marathon and not a sprint. And that's so true. That's like the truest thing. It's so correct. That is
kind of enjoy the time.
Yeah, because it's very that's what I would tell anybody that's starting. It's like there's time. It's going to take a long time for anything to happen. And then like the stuff that you think like I made it, I'm there, and it's going to crash. And then another thing is going to build and another thing is going to crash. And that's just how life is. And the person who told me that was 100% right. 100%. Run a marathon, don't run a sprint.
That was actually my second part, was what would you tell somebody with stuff?
That's what I would say. Run a marathon. Don't run a sprint, brother. Like, sure.
So, I mean, that's kind of all I wrote down for my talking points. Is there any kind of last minute tidbits of wisdom you want to spread to the world?
Nothing except, be happy, be kind to each other, love each other. That's the most important stuff. Unicorn is coming out June 24th, YASH and Dragonette. We're going to have a sick video for it. It's a great song. Pre-save, listen on my Instagram at YASH Planet. And you can check it out on Spotify and Amazon and all those other awesome places.
We'll make sure to link some of those in the description so people can get easy access to that.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for me. I enjoyed the time that we spent together. It was awesome getting to know you a little bit more.
Thank you very much, Tom. I love your show. It's really cool. Love what you're doing. Thanks so much, man. And
looking forward to, round 2 potentially in the future with your new avatar. And
absolutely. We will let you know, like once that happens, like we're going to do an interview with YASH, with the real YASH for sure.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
You enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Tom. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.